Let's do the live streams. Open this up in web browser. Hopefully this doesn't freak out on me again. Oh, nope, didn't break it. Ooh! Thought I broke it. Didn't break it. That's good. I wonder if there's anything exciting happening tonight. Any exciting stuff? Because I have no idea. What's going on, Mike? It's popping, dude. First, I feel it. I feel it. What's going on? Anything exciting going on tonight? Anything troubling, fun, crazy? What's going on in the world? What is happening in the world, everyone? What's going on? I don't know what I'm doing. James, what's going on? Do it. Christian, second. What's going on, guys? Happy Monday to everyone. What's going on? Mike, what's poppin'? Austin, what's going on, dude? Yo, I have some tune questions. Well, feel free to throw them out there, Chad. Feel free to throw them out because now is the time. Hey, bro. What's going on, Josh? Aaron, the first ginger. LOL. I feel like I'm missing something in that. Feel like I'm missing something there. Christian, what's going on, dude? Ooh, welcome back. Rishi, hi. What's going on, dude? Bort Forts. Tanner, go for the beans. Full chooch. That's what I'm saying. I like the beans. I'm always down to go for the beans. Let's definitely go for the beans. Everyone wants some beans. Let's get some beans. Let's get some bean action going. Who doesn't want some beans? Just got done powder coating some 17-inch STI BBS wheels with the same cheap powder coating system you have. Yo, that powder coating system is awesome. For being like, what was it, under $100 for a powder coating gun? I think they're like $70 for that entire system. It's an awesome little system for $70. Like, results you get are pretty decent. Chad, what's going on, dude? All right. Welp, I've got an 09 WRX that's using a quart of oil every week. That is a lot of oil. No leaks or smoke anywhere. There's a lot of things that could be causing oil consumption. Like ring gap, you could be getting oil going past the ring gap, being combusted, going through like the actual exhaust system after being burnt off. You could have oil leak somewhere that you don't know of. There could be a ton of things that are causing oil consumption or oil leakage in the car. Trying to pinpoint it is always like very difficult and very annoying to do, but something that is pertinent, something that is important to do. Someone hit my car, and now I get an STI for a bumper. Hey, well, I mean that kind of sounds like a win. Hopefully insurance is paying for it though. Beans, beans, beans. That's what I'm saying. Everyone likes the beans. Happy Monday, bro. Happy Monday, Ryan. Happy Monday, dude. What would happen if you were to go from a stock top mount to a larger top mount without a Pro Tune, feedback, knock, learn, dam dropping? What should I look out for? 07 WRX. Well, obviously, you're not going to be utilizing the full efficiency of the intercooler without a tune. You might see a decrease in your IATs, maybe a little bit if you have a remote IAT sensor. If you're pulling IATs off the MAF, you're not going to see any difference at all. But you could create more lag with the system just because the ECU is not used to the volumetric efficiency of a larger intercooler versus the stock intercooler, depending on how much bigger it is compared to your stock top mount one. So, I mean, there can be some issues with the ECU trying to compensate for the bigger intercooler, but for the most part, I mean, you should be okay. I would still suggest getting a tune with that and not just slapping it on the car. Matthew, what up, dude? Toe beans. Toe beans. That's what we call my dog's little feets. Yo, yes, go full beans on the daily driver. That's what I'm saying. Why didn't you enjoy the BRZ for a few months? The whole reason I didn't, I mean, I loved the BRZ, but it wasn't a practical daily driver. The point where I kind of decided where I needed to get something else is when I went to Office Depot to pick up a couple boxes to ship some stuff out, and I couldn't put the boxes in the car without just completely mangling the boxes. At that point, I kind of realized I needed something a little bit bigger to be able to accompany myself as a daily driver status vehicle. So unfortunately, the BRZ did leave when it did. The STI was not supposed to be torn apart into a million pieces right now. It was supposed to just be a daily driver, but now we're here. So, you know, it is what it is. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy holidays indeed. 1600cc flex fuel. I don't think we're going like that full of beans. If you're not first, you're last. Turning in before bed, man. But yes, go for the beans, man. That's what I'm saying. Well, good night, Starling Cross. I hope you have a chill rest of your week, man. Which is better, a turbo blanket or a turbo heat shield? Personally, I prefer blankets because they have a smaller footprint than heat shields, and I've also cut myself too many times on heat shields to the point where I've had to get stitches, and I could see the bone in my hand, or my finger at least. I don't like heat shields just because I've sliced myself open on them before, and turbo blankets, they're just a little more cozy. They're a little more compact. So personally, turbo blankets, if you want like an actual temperature difference, I can't give you an answer on that one. That is something that I have on my list to do, is actually see if I can find like a temperature difference between a heat shield and a turbo blanket. But for the time being, personal preference, I'd say a turbo blanket over a heat shield. Full chooch if you got the budget. That's what I'm saying. Full chooch. Adam, I like your little rhyme, dude. Also, you could powder coat the intake manifold from red to nice gray you have. I was thinking about re-powder coating that manifold black, but the thing is I don't have an oven big enough to be able to bake that manifold after I powder coat it. So if I could find an oven to accompany that gigantic intake manifold, that is something I would definitely be down to do. But if not, we'll just clean up the red powder coat that's on there now and throw it back on. I have a ProTune catted downpipe Q300 boost control air intake and charge pipe, 297 wheel horsepower. I got boost flutter when I'm getting on it. Is that just because the tune is 19 psi and the bypass also top mount? So it could just be because your bypass valve spring is so stiff that it's not able to open all the way to let all of the air evacuate out when the throttle body closes, so that air has to go somewhere, so you might be getting a little bit of compressor surge as that air goes back through to the turbo. I'm assuming your stock turbo, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just, you get some fun, cool noises in there just because you have such a stiff bypass valve. Is there a gauge on the access port that tells me how good or bad my gas is? Yes, and no. Yes and no to answer that one. I mean, you can run the E85 or the ethanol content sensor in the car if you wanted. It would tell you like E percentage, but aside from that, you're not going to be able to really tell what the actual octane rating is of your fuel unless you're actually pulling it out of the car and testing it independently on the bench or wherever like testing station you have. But short answer, no, it won't. Austin, what's going on, dude? David, yo. So insurance is covering the new STI bumper, respray the front and rear bumper, and respray the hood. It's an absolute win. Hey, as long as just make sure they color match all that stuff too, like actually blend everything in. Getting an EJ205 from an auto and putting it into a manual. Is there anything that will cause an issue with the wiring ECU, or is it just plug and play? For the most part, it should be pretty much plug and play. You're not transferring over the TCM from the auto over to the manual, so the motor itself is the motor itself. It's the same 205 that they used auto, manual, same. So you should be able to just drop it in, plug and play all that stuff. I'm assuming you're not trying to transfer over TCM from the automatic transmission over to your manual, so you should be pretty much good to go on that one. The 17 is going to be the big dog, go 400 wheel horsepower on the blob. That's kind of what I'm thinking also, is shoot for around 400 wheel horsepower with the blob eye. It might not happen on the first tune iteration. I started pricing stuff out today. So what I've already got ordered for the black STI, the blob, I have a new clutch and a new flywheel on the way. We're going to be using the ACT heavy duty street clutch and their pro lightweight flywheel. I have the IAG air oil separator V3 on order. I have a Grimspeed catted downpipe, a Cobb 3-port boost controller, Cobb XLE bypass valve. Today I ordered the new cam seals for the cam since I pulled those out last night. What else? I have the SMY gauge pod on order for that car so we can put the old AFR and boost gauge out of the 17 STI into that one, because on the 17 STI we're going to be running a different gauge setup, so we're going to repurpose those gauges for the blob eye. But so far, if we want to make 400 wheel horsepower, the things I need to order is a side feed to top feed conversion, what else? Side feed to top feed, turbo, headers, and 2 injectors because I have 2 of them. We could do it. I don't know. We'll see how close we can get. The goal is 400. We'll see how close we can actually get. Top mount and charge pipe. So much without a tune. Just sound and lower temps, right? Top mount and charge pipe. So much without a tune. So much without a tune. Just love... What? Top mount and charge pipe. So much without a tune? Donald, give me a little more clarity on that question because I don't fully understand what you're asking on that. Just sound and lower temps, right? I mean, you will get sound and lower... Okay, I see what you're saying here. You're saying, will a top mount give you sound in lower temps? I think that's what you're asking. Top mount, a bigger top mount will ideally give you lower temps because you have a bigger surface area, more room for ambient air to pass through it, and actually reduce temperatures. Charge pipe, you're increasing the internal diameter of that pipe, so you're able to flow more air through the charge pipe. So it's increasing efficiency. Yes, you will get a little bit lower temps. As for sound, you shouldn't really get a huge sound difference off of that. My experience with NK wheels has been good. They've been awesome. NK makes awesome wheels. CS Gray, Sups Media. Any chance if you can run stage 1 on bone stock 20WX? Any risks? Is it worth cheaping out that way? No, you're totally fine running stage 1 on 20WX. Just make sure you get the access port and the intake, and you shouldn't have any issues at all. Just an early reminder, you need to read fast to get through everyone. Dude, I'm trying to go as fast as I can, Christian. There's a lot. There's a lot. I currently have an HKS high power catback exhaust on my 07WX. How much louder would the NVIDIA N1 race be? Honestly, the HKS is probably just as loud as the NVIDIA N1. I've heard a couple HKS high powers in the past. I've also had a couple NVIDIA N1 races before. Haven't noticed a huge increase in sound between the two of them. They're both awesome exhausts, but I wouldn't say one is necessarily louder than the other. Hello, WX Visiv. Rip happy holidays. Is it almost over? It is almost. The holidays are almost over. How much is a stage 1 tune? That depends on who you go through. If you're using an OTS tune, it definitely goes through the access port. You can use an OTS access port tune, but if you're wanting to get a pro tune, that's going to vary from tuner to tuner. Typically, an e-tune is going to be anywhere from $350 to $500. A pro tune could be anywhere from $550 up to $750, plus whatever other options you get on top of the tune. So prices can definitely vary. Yo, send it for show! I feel that car went from a wreck to a gold mine. I mean, I'd still say it's a little bit of a wreck, but we're working through it. We're getting the wreck fixed. You got too many subscribers now. That hurt, Christian. That hurt a little bit, man. We get through questions as fast as we can. That's why we do multiple live streams a week, my dude. What you know about wheel fitment? Eye emoji. Depends on the car and the wheels and the tires, but I know a decent amount about it. It all depends on the setup you're looking at doing. Cobb Stage 1 comes with the access port, so about $600. Yep, so if you're using the access port OTS tune, comes preloaded on there. And you can also download some free maps off of Cobb's website. They're pretty easy to upload. I've done it in the past. I have videos showing how to upload it off their website and then upload it onto the access port and then download it onto the car, so it's really not too bad to do. You better remember us, the OGs, when you famous. Man, I will always do live streams. I'll always kick it with you guys. I'm always super chill. If any of you guys have, met me at the mod garage, whenever I go up there, I meet, random people up there all the time. I'm, stupid chill. Just come up and say hi. Just come up and say hi! What do I think about going from a Cobb 20G to a rotated setup with a bigger turbo? I want more power, but it's also a daily driver, so not sure. Well, first of all, if you decide to sell that Cobb 20G... let me know, because I got a car I could throw it on. Secondly, if you're wanting to go to a bigger turbo, obviously you're going to have to account for the AR size of the turbo that you're going for, the turbo that you're looking at doing, charge piping routing. There's a lot that plays into what affects the daily driver status of the car when you're trying to do a rotated turbo setup. Obviously, if you have a turbo that's massive with a huge AR and a huge hot side on it, it's going to take a while for that turbo to spool up. If you get something with a smaller hot side, it'll be a lot quicker in spool. So, I mean, honestly, it depends on the turbo that you're going to be getting or the turbos that you're looking at. But there's a lot of good options out there. A lot of people daily drive rotated setups without any issues. Bro, you're getting big. Don't forget about me. Goat. You've been around since 500 subs, dude. I always got you, Goat. The issue with the STI is it's a daily driver. It's one that always wants more power. See, that's what I'm saying. We want more power. We like it. Hey, I've cut myself a bunch of... see? Man, I've cut myself on a bunch of heat shields doing exhaust and other stuff under the car. I try to wear thick gloves like I can now. Dude, I do not blame you. I was at a Subaru dealership pulling my old exhaust off my old BRZ a couple of years ago. Sliced my finger, my pointer finger, straight down to the bone. And you could... oh, God. It was great. It was awful. Bleeding everywhere in their parking lot. Went to the hospital. Had to get stitches. It took me 10 hours to finally decide to go to the hospital because I tried super gluing it shut, a whole bunch of stuff. Just if you're bleeding very bad, just go to the hospital. Are the valves okay? Came home and saw no device holding the driver's cams at TDC, Top Dead Center. Do you not need cam holding tools when doing timing if you have BC cams. Also, always well, brother. So I do have the cam holding tool at this point. When I was doing timing, everything was fine. None of the cams rotated or moved a little bit. I pulled timing on and off that car probably 3 or 4 times at this point. So when we actually go to finally reassemble everything and finally do it, I'll use the actual cam holder tool to keep the cams in place as I'm setting timing. But for the most part, it was pretty dead on, pretty spot on. I do see on some people pointed out on the video that when I was doing timing, it looked like it was like a spline off. Everything lined up perfectly when I was doing it. But this next time around, now that I have the tool, we will use the tool. But no, everything's fine. No worries about it at all. The flutter is during acceleration. Sounds like it's your 3-port boost controller then. I have both heat shield and blanket. That is some like 2050 thinking right there. You got both of them on there. I can agree with the BRZ not being a usable daily. It drove a SVX for 4 years and moved 3 times. And it's doable, but it's a bigger pain than it's worth. I totally agree with that. I couldn't even fit this cardboard box in the trunk of the in the trunk of the BRZ. There's an extent where I'm like, all right, I need something a little bit bigger. What are my thoughts on the Superspeed headlights versus the stock base halogens? Well, I had a set of Superspeed headlights for like a month or so. Ended up going back to my STI's limited headlights on the 17 STI. I like Superspeed's headlights, but the only reason that I bought a set is because I know how to repair them. All Superspeed headlights, every single set that I've seen has failed. They leak water, they build up condensation on the inside of them, and that condensation starts to corrode at the wires. Over time, it just makes a huge mess inside of the headlights. It's not something that you want to deal with. Personally, I would say hit up like Circuit Demon or something like that. Get a custom set of headlights made. He can build a set for roughly the same price as you're going to be paying Superspeed for theirs. Personal preference on that one, but if you do want the Superspeed ones, just keep in mind that you're probably going to be using their warranty for them. Do I know where Shoreline is? Yes, I do. I've been up to Shoreline multiple times. Which radiator will you recommend for 2020 Subaru WRX? I'm just trying to get it ready for bigger power. 100% Koyo. I love Koyo. Koyo makes awesome radiators. I'm looking at one for the 05 STI because that Mishimoto radiator. So hold up, rewind for a second. The 05 STI, I do want to talk about this for a minute because I totally spaced on it in the last video. Some of you guys were asking if I could locate or track down the prior owners of the car. So here's kind of the cool thing. I found the very first owner of the car, the person who bought that thing brand new. I also found this in the car, which is pretty neat. It's the original sticker for the 05 STI that was in the glove box. Apparently brand new in 2000 and what year was this? 2004, 2005? Does it have the year on here? It doesn't have the year. In 2004 or 5, the car was like $34,000 brand new. Came with a stock short throw shifter, turbo boost gauge, wheel lock set, whole bunch of stuff. But I was able to track down the original owner of the car. And then I found the second owner of the car on Facebook. He actually bought that 05 STI off of a Naziok posting. He was up here in Washington with me, and he's military, so he ended up moving. There's a gap between the second owner and me. I cannot find the third owner. I have his name, I have his information. It was all in the glove box, but he has no social media profile, so I have no way of contacting him. I found his phone number, but I'm not going to call him out of the blue because that's crossing a line of weird stuff. But I was able to find most of the owners prior, and it does explain some of the things on the car. The very first owner is the one. So the door cards on that car, first of all, those are STI door cards. Some of you guys pointed out that they're not blue and they're black. The very first owner of that car rewrapped the door cards in a suede, a black suede. The second, and he did the headliner in a black suede too, which needs to be fixed a little bit. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that I found out about the car from the prior owners. It's kind of cool. Antonio, appreciate the dono, dude. Can you help me with a good build for 2016 STI engine? I can, depending on what your power goals are, what you plan on doing with the car, and all of the other goodies that go into it. But for sure, dude, just give me some more information. Jesus, also appreciate the $3, dude. You guys are killing it with the donos tonight, man. Always appreciate it, my friends. Anyways, back to this. Koyo radiator, 100%. Why does it make video about the SRT4? The SRT4 is not my car. That is my roommate's car. It has a built engine in it. It has a big turbo. It needs a lot of stuff, though. That car's been sitting for 8 years. So it needs an entire fuel system, intake manifold, intercooler, electronics, ECU, suspension, brakes, everything. So whenever Matt gets parts in for the SRT4, I'll make a video on it. But the SRT4 isn't my car, so I have 2 other project cars that I gotta knock out. Hey, do you have any advice for codes P0011 and P0021? I don't know what those codes are off the top of my head. So P0, what was it? P00, oh my goodness, P0011. OBD2 generic code indicating that the ECM has determined the bank 1 camshaft. Sounds like camshaft sensor and camshaft sensors. I would just swap out the cam sensors if that's the case, because it's just pulling up as cam sensors. So what I do whenever like I get engine codes or like trouble codes like that, Google the code, see what it is first, see what you guys can find pop up. Typically that's what I do, is whenever I get a code that pops up, I'll be like, all right, this is the code, what could be the cause of it? And then you just use process of elimination. If you're getting a code for like a cam position sensor or something like that, then obviously there's something wrong with the cam position sensor. It's either the sensor, the wiring, or the cam. Start with the easiest stuff first, cam position sensor, then wiring, then actually pop up valve cover and look at the cam. But for that one, I would start looking at the cam position sensors. You might need to replace them. Maybe something hit them. Maybe something's in there. Maybe something just triggered them and threw the code. If you want, you can try deleting the code, see if the code comes back. But just a process of elimination when it comes to that kind of stuff. Joe, what's going on, dude? Hope you've been well, man. I saw your turbo, I don't want to say a Civic, maybe Accord. Your turbo Honda looks like it's coming along nicely. From your last video, I'm curious if you had to deburr the cam journals. How did they get in there to begin with? Hammer it? So I don't know how the burrs got on the cam journal. It was only one cam journal that the burrs were on. What I ended up doing is I couldn't take the buckets out of the way to be able to like fully like deburr them at first. So what I ended up doing is I took a file and I started going along the edge of the cam journal. And then once I got it down to a point where I could pull the buckets out, I grabbed some 1000 grit sandpaper, started going over it, started smoothing it all out, getting that burr down. Ended up doing it on both sides of the cam journal. I did not take any material off the face of the journal, just because you don't want to be pulling you don't want to do that. Just don't do that. But I don't know how the burrs got there. Could have been a machining error. Could have been that it was overlooked in the machining process. Could have been something happened with the cam. I have no idea. The face of the cam like bearing actually looks fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the actual face of the journal. There's a little bit of visible scarring, but there's nothing that you can feel. Don't know how it got there. Also, Antonio, appreciate the dono, dude. 600 all-wheel horsepower. I have 10 to 12 grand, and I want it reliable. Obviously, a built block from IAG. You're gonna be on a stretched budget with 10 to 12 grand. I don't know if you're actually gonna be able to make it to 600 like reliably. But 10 to 12 grand, obviously built long block. I would at least start with an IAG short block. Stage 2 tough, I believe, is good up to 650 off the top of my head. Anything over 500, you're really going to be, anything over like 400 to 450, you're going to be wanting cams for also. GSC, Brian Crower, something along those lines for cams. Bolt-ons, you're going to be either looking at a stock location or rotated setup. Obviously, a stock location is going to give a little bit better of a response time versus a rotated setup, unless you're going with like a very custom turbo setup at that point. But a stock location turbo, I would look into like a Blausch Dominator 5.0 XTR if you're trying to hit 600 all-wheel horsepower. Obviously, fueling system, you're going to need something like ID 1700 injectors, fuel rails, fuel lines, TGV deletes, fuel pressure regulator, radium dual fuel pump. It adds up quick. 10 to 12 grand, I don't think you're going to be able to hit 600 reliably unless you're like getting some pretty good deals on some secondhand parts, or some like companies are throwing some discounts your way. But if you want, shoot me a message on Instagram. I can give you a build list that should get you near 600 all-wheel horsepower. Just keep in mind that 10 to 12 grand probably isn't enough to do it reliably. It gets expensive quick. Do I recommend buying wheels from Fitment Industries? I do not know. I've never bought wheels from Fitment Industries, so cannot confirm. Can anyone get the Q300 to not look angled? It's driving me nuts. Every single Q300 I've seen is always angled. I think it's just the exhaust hanger location. You could try playing with the exhaust hangers a little bit, trying to configure it to get it right, but every single one I've seen is always a little bit angled. Absolutely nothing wrong with going 400 in the blob. Appropriate beans for the daily. That's what I'm saying. Appropriate beans. We got a good level of beans. Auto EJ205 swap, you need a manual engine ECU. If you're doing, well, you're not, he's not swapping the transit, he's only swapping the motor. He shouldn't need a different ECU for just the motor. Oh my goodness, my chat jumped and I lost my highlighted comment. No, there we go. Anyone parting out no for WRX STI in Seattle? I have no idea. What are some fun mods other than a catback that I can get without a tune? Cannot void my warranty. What is the car? WRX or STX? That's gonna. I mean, honestly, whether or not you're not gonna be able to really touch any of the motor stuff. You could probably get away with a bypass valve if you wanted to do something on the motor. Suspension's free game. Drivetrain, you're a little bit like tough on. I've got like videos breaking all of that down just to give you a little bit of idea spec of what you can and can't do with inside of warranty. It's not that they'll totally deny and void your warranty, but if you try to make a warranty claim based off something, if you have done modifications to the car, those modifications might reflect back and can deny a warranty claim, but not the overall entirety of the warranty. Anyone gone snow drifting with that snow day we had up here in the Northeast? We never get snow. I vote slow down process on the 33 to get the blobby going. That's what we've been doing, King Richard. All focus has been put in the blobby right now just to get that car running. I can't even do anything with the EG33 STI right now anyways till we get the motor back. I emailed out front again today to try to get an update on the pistons. Seems like we're still waiting on CP for the pistons for that car. I don't know why CP is taking so long. I'm trying to get more information on it, but as I do, I'll continue to share it with you guys. I got the gray series, cool khaki gray STI. What color would you recommend to add with it? Probably, honestly, white. I like white, like accents, wheels, stuff like that. I think it goes good with any color. You can't go wrong with it. Now that you have experience with catch cans and AOSs, what would you recommend? I have a BRZ and I don't know what to get. Honestly, for the BRZ, I would just get a set of catch cans. Like, the catch cans were just fine on the BRZ. Here's the thing. For people in extreme, like, cold weather areas also, catch cans are always going to be preferred over an AOS as well, just because you can get that return line freezing. We've touched on it in the past, but for that application, I would definitely just go with a set of catch cans for BRZ. Not a big need for an air oil separator unless you're going turbocharged or supercharged, but if you're just planning on staying naturally aspirated, catch cans, totally fine. What's my favorite catback for an STI? Depends on the generation STI. If it's the GD model, I've always dug the NVIDIA N1. It's cheap. Well, it's cheap-ish. It's affordable. It sounds good and it looks good. I always get the stainless steel tip. I'm not a huge fan of like the whole burnt color tips. If you're looking at the VA chassis, the ETS Extreme catback, if you're looking at like a GR hatchback STI nameless performance, they make a killer catback also. Different catbacks for different generations. What is up, dude? Happy holidays, everyone. What's going on, VK? Ice built up inside of my wheels from lateral movement and threw off balance while I was on the highway, though. Ooh. Ooh, that does not sound fun. Do I need a restrictor pill in my vacuum line? I've never hit full boost until I changed the line. I'm not going to say it's necessary. If you're pro-tuned, yeah, I mean, you don't really need it. The boost controller should be able to mitigate it, but if you're on like a 2-port boost controller, it's factory, I would definitely leave it in there, just so you don't absolutely like straight overboost, because no one wants that. Just found and subscribed to your channel. 'Tis legit. Hey, appreciate it, Steve. Appreciate the support, man. I have a 2016 Subaru WRX STI. I have the Tomei on it right now, and everything else is stock. I just bought the Grimspeed downpipe, uppipe, and Tomei header, and also accessory. What else should I get for it? So you have an STI. You just got the Grimspeed downpipe. I also just ordered that one for the blob eye. Uppipe, I have that for the blob eye also. Tomei header. 2016 STI, I would definitely look at getting your fuel system. If you're going to be touching like your full exhaust system, fuel system. 2015 plus STIs, fuel system. Fuel pump, injectors at minimum. Fuel pressure regulator, just get the Cobb one. What the Cobb one is, it's an older GD fuel pressure regulator, so it doesn't have all of the fuel dampeners in it. Fuel, look at fueling modifications. What can I do to get Burbles without a tune? You don't need it. You don't want the Burbles. You don't need the Burbles. The Burbles are going to be bad for your catalytic converter. They're going to decrease your fuel mileage. You can potentially wash your cylinder wall. You don't need it. You don't need it. But if you want it, just get the Burble tune. Hey, my boy, how wheel horsepower can handle a 2016 WRX? I've touched on this in the past. FA20 WRXs, they can make A lot of power, they can make a little bit of power. It all depends on how you drive the car. I've seen some of them at 500 horsepower on stock block. I've seen some of them blow up at 280 horsepower. Really comes down to how much you drive. If you're really looking for like the safe zone for an FA20WRX, I would definitely stay within the range of like 360 to 400 wheel horsepower. Reliability mods are going to be crucial and key for you, but definitely within that like range. Can you put a GoPro on your head while you're working on the engine? I mean, I can. I can't guarantee that you'll be able to see everything accurately, but I can. I mean, if that's something you guys want, let me know, and I'll strap a GoPro to like I'll do one on each hand. I'll do one on my head and my chest. We'll do like a weird 360 vision. Oh, we could get weird. We could do some weird videos. All jokes though, I'm glad you're actually getting the support you need to do some of the bigger things you have planned. Hit that like button. I was just giving you shit, Christian. But yeah, I always appreciate the support, man. Always totally appreciate the support, you guys. You've been chosen to cook the best steak you possibly can. What ingredients are you using, and how are you cooking it? That's an interesting question. You threw me off, Anred. Garlic, butter, Johnny's, and a skillet. That's all you really need to cook a steak. And what kind of steak? I don't know. You guys are probably going to judge me for this. I like flank steak. I always liked flank steak. I don't know why. I'd probably go with that, though. 3 weeks into owning a new 2020 STI, debating on keeping it stock, getting a Cobb Stage 1 Plus intake. If I do go Stage 1 Plus, do you recommend getting it Pro-tuned or stick with the OTS from Cobb? I would at minimum get an E-tune. Just get an E-tune. Peace of mind. It'll make things easier. You'll get a more accurate tune on that car. The ECU will appreciate you. The car will appreciate you. And you'll appreciate the car more. At minimum, I would suggest just getting an E-tune. If you don't want to go through the process of getting a tune, an OTS tune will be fine, though. I'll keep you in mind, and if I sell that Cobb 20G, it's only got like 2K miles on it right now. That's what I'm saying. Thoughts on 9-to-1 compression with low boost? Depends on the car. But I mean, honestly, it's a good interval. That's what my EG33 is being built at. It's being built at 9-to-1 compression ratio for high boost. But for low boost, you should be totally fine. Pretty safe compression ratio on that. Even on the BRZ that I had that was turbocharged, we were what 13-to-1 compression ratio with low boost. That was like 8 psi. 9-to-1, I wouldn't worry about it. Low boost, you should be totally safe, depending on what the car is, what the internals are also. But I wouldn't worry about that one. When am I coming to Florida? When am I leaving the state of Washington? That should be the first question. Ew! What are we oohing, Chris? My mother-in-law works for Borg Warner. Ooh! Thinking about letting her move in and only charging her a turbo for rent. What turbo should I ask for? Just snag a giant EFR and shoot for the moon. Get a big old EFR turbo and just rocket it just straight to the moon. That's what we all want. That's actually a good hookup if you can do it. Any good tuners in Florida? None that come to mind, but you Florida peeps, if anyone can help them out, man. Now that you are in the Built Head Club, you should join the Rotated Turbo Club. Don, I don't got money for a rotated turbo setup, unfortunately. I'm trying to figure out where to get the monies to do a side feed to top feed conversion first. Baby steps here. Yo, Tanner, if you had to choose one as a daily, would you go with a 2015 plus WRX or 2014 STI? Personally, I'd get the STI over the WRX. I love FA20 WRXs. I've had 2 of them, but I've also had more STIs than I have WRXs, and I personally prefer the way the STI drives in comparison to the FA20 WRX. Big one for me is transmission. I love the way the STI transmission is. I love notchy, loud, just in-your-face transmissions. The WRX one, I'm not a whole fan of the whole pull cable style on that one. Personal preference, I'd get the STI. Plus, you can get it in a hatchback, and I also have a hidden love for hatchback, so I'd get the hatchback model. Evening, sir. Evening, Jeremy. What's going on? I'm looking to start a custom headlight business. Hey, I know a lot about that. I'd love to pick your brain on a few things someday. First step is getting some lights to work with. Best source for stock WRX lights, eBay, Facebook forums, wherever you can find people selling them. Do not buy depot headlights to try to retrofit. They permaseal them shut. They're a huge pain to try to open. But biggest place to be able to find used lights, eBay, OfferUp, Facebook groups, Instagram, anywhere you can find people selling stock headlights is where I used to buy them. Like I said, avoid depot headlights at all costs. Do I think the stock axles, bushings, and differential will hold up okay when building a 500 wheel horsepower 2.5 STI. 100%, yeah. I mean, at 500 wheel horsepower, you shouldn't have any problems. Also, appreciate the dono, Ravenchild. Baby steps. Let's see the engine rotate first. That's what I'm saying. Baby steps. At minimum, I know we're going to be doing, if we can't do the whole side feed to top feed conversion, at minimum, we are going to do TGV deletes, and I'll show you guys how to do like DIY TGV deletes. I did a set a couple years ago, but the TGVs are definitely going to be coming out of there at minimum. What's up from NH? Was that New Hampshire? New Hampshire, right? New Hampshire. What's going on? Much love from Queensboro and the Queen Subaru Club. That's what I'm saying, man. Appreciate the support. There's M2 and JR2 a few. See, we're talking about the tuner thing again. Do I recommend modifying a 9th gen Honda Civic automatic, not as a race, not an SI? I mean, it depends on what you plan on modifying it for. I mean, obviously you're not going to be shooting for like power on it as a 9th gen, just normal straight up Civic. If you're just looking to do like some coilovers, wheels, maybe do a little bit like cosmetics things just as a daily driver, by all means, do it, man. If it's what makes you happy as a daily driver, then 100% go for it. Text the old owner at least. I don't want to be intrusive and like dig into the old owner's personal life. I have his address, I have his phone number, I don't have his email. If I had his email, I'd email him, but I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to show up to his house. Also, Lamb, appreciate the dono. Do newer STI OEM wheels 2012 and up fit older generations? For example, GD chassis, will they clear the Brimbos? Also, best tuner around Puyallup. Yes. So first answer to that, yes, they will clear Brimbos. The sizing on all stock STI wheels is pretty much the same. It's typically always going to be 18 by 8.5 plus 55. On the older Subarus, it's going to be 17 by 8.5 plus around 55-ish offset. So the wheels, I could take the 05 STI wheels that I have on the Blob-Eye, put them on the the 17 STI, no problem. So you won't have any fitment issues there. As for best tuner around Puyallup, if you're looking to stay in Washington, check out In Front Automotive. If you're looking for like elsewhere, I typically would recommend going down south a little bit to like the Portland, Vancouver area. Go hit up like English Racing, Prime, or not Prime Motor, PRE, Surgeline Tuning, all those places. They're incredibly good tuning shops. Hey man, I can always look up that third owner on the gal if he's in Mill. Like I said, I have his phone number. I have his address. I have his name. I'm not going to call him, and I'm not going to show up to his house. If I can find him on social media, I'll find him on social media. But I'm not going to make a huge deal out of it at this point. We've already pulled the engine. We've already disassembled it for the most part. We know all that's done to that motor. There's not really a whole need to contact him at this point anymore. Greetings from Houston, Texas. Love the YouTube videos. I appreciate it, Alex. I need to get back down to Houston here in the next future. I haven't been to Houston in like 5 years. Good stuff, bro. Thanks, Doe. Do you do full-time, or do you have another job that you do? I fully do YouTube full-time. It's incredibly stressful. I will tell you that right now. This is probably the most stressful job I have had. I definitely enjoy it, though. I definitely enjoy it, but yes, this is what I do full-time. The tune has been great so far. Hey, good to hear. Hit me up on IG. I have a Borg-Warner turbo setup. Like new ID 1050s injectors and TGV deletes that I'll give you cheap on a great deal. Ooh, switching to a rotated setup with AMS intake. King Richard, I will definitely shoot you I'll shoot you a Instagram DM, and we'll try to work something out on that, because I could definitely use those for the blob. I keep in contact with Kyle if I have any problems. Do an overview of your roommate Subaru Outback. I've been trying. Matt doesn't like being in videos. But I'll see if he'll let me snag his Outback for a little while and go shoot a video on it. I've got a 15 STI launch edition in my area with low 60k miles for 2016 or for 26k. Is it worth it? What is with low 60k miles? 26k seems like a hefty amount. For a 15 STI with 60k miles. Like, yeah, the launch editions were kind of a special edition. They only made like X amount of them. But to be honest, I don't see 26k out of it. I would realistically try to get it for like 23 to 24, but I know STIs hold their value like stupid well. I would just try to get the price down at minimum to like 24k. Personal preference on that one. What are the best coilovers for riding and handling for a daily on a WRX? Looking to get an idea. BC Racing is actually pretty good as a daily coilover. Just keep in mind, the threads on them do like to seize over time, so I at least put some like anti-seize on there just to make sure that the lower locking collar and the lower mount of the coilover doesn't actually seize to the strut assembly itself, because that is awful to try to separate. I have done it too many times. If you're looking outside of that, little bit higher budget, I would definitely check out Fortunato or Feel 441. Both of them very good coilovers for spirited driving and daily driving. Good job catching that. Hey, thanks, string greens. Every single time, I always think like string beans, bean strings, string greens, green strings. I don't even know. Do you recommend modifying an R18 automatic? I mean, you can modify anything, but I don't know what an R18 automatic is. Now I gotta look. R18 automatic. What is this? What is an R18 automatic? I don't even know. Oh, it's a Honda thing. It's a Honda transmission. I don't know. I can't give you an answer on that one because I don't know. I was looking at built motors online, but don't know who's reliable and such. I mean, honestly, whenever it comes to like buying a built motor, you have a lot of options. You have IAG. I don't want to call them cookie cutter motors because they're not really cookie cutter, but they're pretty much all the exact same. You can buy one block that Jimmy down the street might have, and you're going to get the same quality every single time. If you're looking to go outside of that, just doing something a little more custom, you can do like Outfront, RevWorks, Woolman Performance. There's a lot of other engine builders out there also, but for the most part, if you want to play it safe, get something that you know you're going to get like good quality on. I mean, honestly, any of those guys, if you're looking for something with like a fast shipping time, though, IAG will probably be the fastest, just because I'm pretty sure they stock a lot of those motors and they can easily just ship them out. You could get them down a grand or two. 26K is steep for 60K. That's what I'm saying. Type RA block or IAG stage 2 2.5. That entirely depends on your power goals. I cannot answer that question without knowing how much power you're trying to shoot for. What's better, the Cobb EBCS or Grimspeed? It doesn't really matter. Also tuning my car in Surgeline. Dudes are so helpful and friendly. That's what I'm saying. Chris and like the whole team down there, Brian, all of them are super awesome down at Surgeline. I called them the other day to get the tune for the 05 STI set up, and they were absolutely killing it with all the questions that I had. When it comes to boost controllers, get whatever one you want. They're pretty much all the exact same. They're actually the exact same with just a different manufacturer's name on it. So get whatever one you prefer. Get whatever one is like fits your budget. I got the Cobb one just because I think it was like a couple dollars cheaper than the Grimspeed one. But to be honest, they all do the same thing. Katie, sir. Hey, Tanner. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, my friend. I have a 2016 STI. I still have the Toma. Didn't we talked about this one? We totally talked about that one. I see. You're trying to double comment me in there. You're trying to trick me. 600 wheel horsepower will cost you 25K. See, that's why I'm saying 10 to 12K is a bit of a stretch to try to do it reliably. Do you recommend modify an R18 automatic? I'm a freshman in cars. Why are you yelling at me, JC? Why are you yelling at me, man? Like I said, I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know about Honda transmissions. That's not my specialty. I can tell you yes, or no, and one of those answers is going to be right, or maybe I don't know. That's not my specialty. I don't know Honda transmissions. 500 is all you want to go on the street. Well, it becomes a drag strip car after that and defeats the purpose of an STI in the first place. I could see that. Haste Media, I'm looking at an 11 WRX Limited. It's built to 400 horsepower, fully built motor with forged internals. It's fully dyno tuned with an access port, asking 16,000. Is this yea or nay? Lon, two things here. Two things. You do not want to end up in the same boat that I'm in with this 05 STI, first of all. I would not go anywhere near that car unless you have a full build sheet and you know the person who personally built the car. I would stay away from it with a 10-foot pole unless you know who built it and you get a full build sheet. Or else, I mean, you might luck out. You might be fine if you do buy it. On the other hand, you might end up in the exact same boat that I'm in, where you have a motor out of the car and you start finding random goodies inside of the motor that you had no idea were there. So personal preference, I would say get one as close to stock as possible. Or, like I said, make sure you know the builder or the person who built the car with a full build sheet. I got an auto Honda Accord 2002. How much do you think it will cost to do a full manual transmission swap with labor? Also, God loves you. When it comes to like transmission swaps, obviously, cost of the transmission. If you're doing the labor yourself, it's free. If you're paying another shop to do it, typically transmission swaps, from what I've seen, depending on level of difficulty, can range between like $500 up to like 2,500, depending on like what transmission you're trying to put on the car. If it's just a direct swap over, it sounds like you're just trying to take a manual version of whatever this transmission is off that motor, swap it into the car, pull the auto out, put the manual in. I would probably estimate around 1,000 to 1,200. Once again, I don't know Hondas that well. I'm not entirely sure on that one. I was looking at the IAG because my chat just jumped again. Oh boy, where did I go? Oh my god, I'm so far away. Okay, right here. Yeah, I was looking at the IAG because the price was nice, and I don't mind going up to 15K. And 500 wheel horsepower is totally fine too. That's a little bit more doable. 15K for 500 wheel horsepower is a little bit more doable. In your most recent video, you said that your short block is Type RA short block. Do you know if there's a direct replacement for the stock 257 block, or does it need any modifications? So the Type RA block is a direct replacement block for any 257, any 2.5 liter Subaru engine out there. The heads, they'll bolt right up to it. Now, you can't mismatch heads. You can't use like a B25 head and a W25 head and just like try to make it work that way. So you need obviously matching pairs of heads, but it is a replacement for the 257 or the 2.5 liter turbo models. It's direct replacement. Anyone have any ETS quiet mufflers they'd like to trade for Extreme? Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully you do. I've got an IAG Stage 2 Tough block with some built heads from Outfront. Outfront's awesome. I love that place. I'm having a hard time lining up the timing marks. Any possibility why or website to help me out? If you're having a difficult time lining up the timing marks, obviously the driver's side is going to feel like it's a little bit more sprung. If you don't have it, check out the Company 23 cam lock tool. It'll hold the cam gears in place as you try to set timing, so that way you're not going to have one cam gear try to spin out on you or anything like that. That's the last thing you want, is trying to set timing and everything's like flying around on you. It can be a little bit of a pain. Whenever it comes to lining up the timing marks, though, I mean, your cam gears only go on the cam one way. If you have any type of like worry in your mind that somehow the cam gear got put on the cam wrong, I would definitely just pull off the cam gear, double check that everything does line up, because there is a small little nipple that comes off the cam gear. Haha, I did say nipple, but it'll slide right onto the cam gear, right onto the cam, and it only goes on one way. As for why timing might not be lining up properly, you could be getting improper. No, I mean, I don't think Valve Lash would really change your timing that much. It would have to be like significantly off. First thing I would check is like that cam gear going onto the cam, just making sure that everything is lined up properly. Do newer STI OEM wheels fit older models, for example, GD chassis? Yes, they do. They bolt right on, no issues at all. They clear Brimbos, and they still sit under the fenders. So my list minus motor is for 700 horsepower, and that list is 15 to 18K parts alone. See, yeah, it's not trying to hit 600 with 10 to 12 that's a real big stretch. Avoid it, avoid it, avoid it. Troy's channel, what's going on, dude? Do you recommend modify? We talked about that one, JC. Send it. That's what I'm saying. Appropriate beans for the blob eye. The blob eye needs some beans. Why not drop the 17 2.5 block in the 05? 17. I don't have that block anymore. I sold that long block altogether. If I still had that block, I would have just dropped it right in, been on our happy way, and just been totally fine. Somehow cracked my intake manifold in my 2015 WRX. Unfortunately, I've seen that happen before. Those plastic polymer intake manifolds, if you drop it too hard, if you drop something on it, if you hit it with something, they crack pretty easily. But it might just be a good opportunity to go to a BRZ intake manifold, because you never know. You could get some good stuff out of the BRZ manifold. Full send or no send? That's what I'm saying. Full send. Were you with 2ID? I was not. I was with 4th Brigade, 10th Mountain down in Fort Polk. I was not with 2ID. I need Burbles. Get a Burble tune, man. Buy a new Honda. Like what? Like what? I'd rather get a Toyota. I'd rather get a GR Yaris. I'm going to get a GR Yaris. I'll take one of those. When is next upload? Every other day. So next upload will be... What is today? Monday, Tuesday. Next upload is Wednesday, so I'm filming a video tomorrow for Wednesday. do it like 10 GoPros. That's what I'm saying. We could get weird. I could strap some GoPros like in some weird spots. We can make some weird videos. I have a GoPro bite mount. I can just like bite it and like walk around with the GoPro. Get weird. GoPro on head sounds cool. LOL, definitely be interesting. I've tried those videos before. I didn't like I always I mean, I'd have to do it without a hat, and I always feel weird without a hat. But I mean, I could do it. It's weird. The lighting is never perfect, and it all depends on. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Do you need a tuned for turbo inlet FA20? No, you do not. Man, you guys are like double spamming questions tonight. I would love to possibly see a live stream one day of you working on one of the cars. I think that'd be pretty sick, to be honest. I used to do that, Christopher. I used to be doing that. When I go to reinstall the 257 in the car, we'll do a live stream of that one. But I think the last live stream I did working on something out in the garage, I want to say it was like September, maybe late September. We used to do them. We'll do some more. Hello, JDM lovers. I love all JDM cars. That's what I'm saying, WX. That's what I'm saying, my man. Who doesn't? Tanner, I'm in. Been a minute. What's going on, Roy? Welcome back, man. Smedia, cool, bro. That's what I'm saying. What are my thoughts on Option Lab wheels? I like Option Lab wheels. They're a pretty affordable wheel. Option Lab hit me up not too long ago, and then they ghosted me. I was very, very confused on it. Option Lab wanted to do like a collab with us, so I emailed them back, and then they never emailed me. I got ghosted by Option Lab, so I'm a little like salty with Option Lab, but I do like some of their wheels. They're affordable. Join the PC Master Race. How do you know I have a Mac? How do you know I have an iMac? Whose SRT4 is that in the garage? Like I said, that's Matt's. It's my roommate's SRT4. It is not mine. If it was mine, I'd probably be working on it here and there, ordering parts for it here and there, but it is not my car. I've got 2 other cars to fund right now, and I cannot afford to fund someone else's car. Ambot Tuning's in Florida. That is true. How much is too much to daily? Honestly, I think like 400, 450 wheel horsepower is like the perfect daily amount. I mean, anything below that is still incredibly fun. I mean, even a stock STI is a good daily. But I do think at a certain power interval, there can be too much power for a daily driver. Probably around like the 500 to 600 wheel horsepower mark might be a little bit too much. Tuners in Florida, tuners in Florida, tuners in Florida. Ryan, what's up, guy? Teddy, oh, how you doing? Looking to get a charge pipe. Any recommendations? How much power do you think I'd be gaining? Currently have an access port, SF intake, TGV complete housing, EGR unplug, electronic boost controller, and a Cobb J pipe. So charge pipe, I mean, charge pipe really isn't going to give you like that big of gains. It'll definitely make airflow a little bit better going from the intercooler down to the turbo and just the whole like route right there. You'll probably be increasing internal diameter slightly, but I wouldn't expect like huge gains from an actual charge pipe. People typically get charge pipes for the most part to just for the looks, to be honest. I mean, if anyone's really trying to make power, they're going to a front mount intercooler. If you were to make a custom twin turbo for an FA20, will it work? Wasn't going to, but was just curious. I mean, you could make it work, but I don't think it would be worth it, to be honest. You're already pretty tight on space in that car, and it's gonna be a lot of wiring or a lot of plumbing, a lot of vacuum lines, a lot of wastegate, a lot of like it's too much. I just don't see a practical reason to do it. A longtime viewer torn between trading my car in for a truck to pull my race car or build the WRX. What do you think? Well, what's the race car? Because now I need to know what the race car is. But I totally don't blame you. If I was in a situation where I had one car that I've like invested a lot of time, money, and effort in, and I needed a car to trailer that car around, I would definitely consider selling one of mine to get a truck. A truck is something that's very handy to have. I wish I had a truck to be able to move things, tow cars also. So I mean, it depends on what the race car is. For my like straight up answer on that one. What do I think about SRT4s? SRT4s are gnarly little cars. They do not sound like little 2-liter 4-cylinders, I can tell you that much. They're awesome. I'd love to see that SRT4 running one day, but hopefully 2021 it'll actually run. Baby steps, hoping that engine will work. That engine should work. Do you guys ever get like a nose hair in your hair, like your nose that like tickles the inside of your nose? Dude, all day this nose hair's been like all up in there. Daddy. Well, hello, Brian. That was we're getting a little weird here. Best place to find an engine: eBay Motors. Depending on what the motor is. I bought my EG33 off of eBay Motors. One thing I do like about eBay is you can haggle with the seller a little bit, try to get price down, and you can get them to cover shipping like 90% of the time. But depending on what the motor is you're looking for, if you're looking for like a built motor, then obviously hit up like IAG RevWorks or someone along those lines. If you're looking for something else, something that's like an OEM replacement or something that you're going to be building, I would definitely check out eBay or Junkyard, something along those lines. Any info on stroker kits for high horsepower? Very expensive, and like you're going to be wanting to do something extremely different if you're going to be going with a stroker kit. So I did look into this a little bit. All stroker kits are going to be significantly more expensive. Like I said, unless you're shooting for like crazy higher horsepower than a stock like 2.5 liter, 2 liter can handle, there's not really a need to go stroker. Like you're going to be doing a crank, you're going to be doing rods, pistons, boring out the block. You're going to be doing a lot of stuff to increase displacement on that thing. Unless you're just trying to make heaps and heaps of power, it's honestly not really worth it. Is 0.875 dam on a 17 WRX really that bad? I mean, it's not that bad, but it's not ideal, and you want everything to be ideal. Typically, you're going to want to monitor your dam in conjunction with your feedback knock, your fine knock learn. If you see feedback knock going crazy and fine knock learn going crazy and your dam is decreasing, just expect the whole world to end at that point. I'm totally joking. No, it's really not that bad. Just keep an eye on it. It could be bad gas, could be the tune not accepting the ECU and the tune not communicating, accepting, or anything like that. Could be like significant weather changes. If it goes from like significantly hot to significantly cold, it might just be making adjustments to the barometric pressure sensor also. So it could just be intermittent also. But honestly, there's a lot that goes into dam. It could be a lot, or it could be nothing. Yes, they fit. They do. Should I install a meth kit on my 09 STI hatch? I mean, you can if you want to. Really depends on what you're using it for. Are you looking to use it just to get cooler air, charged air going in there? Are you looking for more power? What are you looking to use the meth for? Yo, what's going on? Hat Mix 28. I simply removed the butterfly valves themselves from my TGVs and removed the TGV in the tune. That's what I'm thinking about doing if I don't want to like buy TGV housings. If we do the DIY TGV deletes, we'll remove the TGV butterfly valves in there. We'll powder coat them. We'll make them look nice. We'll do a side feed to top feed conversion injector seat, get top feed injector fuel rails, and then just make our own fuel line. We could just do it our own. Adam, first time tuning into the live stream. What are your thoughts on the latest Civic Si? I need to look one up now. Let's look one up. What is it? 2021 Civic Si? Are we basing this off of styling? Based off of style. Wow, that looks like a BRZ almost. Weird. Honestly, I mean the styling, it's not all that bad. It looks like a Civic. I would drive it around as a daily driver. It probably gets good gas mileage. It's probably fun and peppy and sporty to drive around as a daily driver also. It looks like you can have fun with it on a track. I mean, it looks like a fun car. I have no complaints with it. Would I go out and buy one? Probably not, but I do like the car. I have an 08 STI. Has anyone done a 2011 Plus front bumper conversion? I have. It's not too bad to do. You need to do the grill, the bumper. That's it. Just the grill and the bumper. How much did I buy for my 17 STI for? I don't want to talk about it. No, I'll be straight up honest with you guys. So when I bought my 17 STI, I was extremely negative on that car when I bought that car years ago. At the time, I had my old 1993 Skyline GTST. I had just bought my old house, the one that we started the YouTube channel in the garage. And I also had a Yaris, a very boring Yaris that I had bought. And I wanted to get back into an STI, so I sold my Skyline to buy my house, and then I just had this Yaris. I bought the Yaris brand new. It maybe had 2,000 miles on it. I went to trade it into a dealership for the STI, and I think I had like negative 8,000 equity off of the Yaris, but I absolutely hated that car. Don't be like me, buy a brand new car and then trade it in like 2 or 3 months later. You're going to take the biggest hit of your life. But I'll be totally honest, I think for my 17 STI with the 8,000 negative equity was around 40,000 at the time. Thankfully the car is paid off at this point, but Yeah, it was the price of the car itself was like 32K plus my life mistakes of having negative equity was probably like 40K on that car. Just don't do that. Don't do it. Have I checked the cold start sound clip I sent you on Instagram? I have not been on Instagram pretty much all day. I do apologize. So probably not. I don't remember checking it. I don't remember seeing it if I did. You'd get the built heads for free. Use the 9 exist head funds for the rotated setup. I don't got the monies for that, man. I don't got the muns. Rotated setups are expensive. Rotated setup. I need a front mount intercooler. I need the turbo. I need the rotated turbo kit. I need the fuel system. I need the tune. It gets significantly more expensive. The extent of what we'll probably realistically be able to do with the 05 STI is going to be a front mount intercooler, maybe an 18G or 16G turbo, conversion from side feed to top feed. That might be the extent of it. That might be the extent. We'll see. What do I think about my roommate's SRT4? I love the SRT4. I want to see the SRT4 run, and I like bug Matt all the time to order parts for it. So maybe one day we can have the SRT4 running. I would like to see the SRT4 running. Which bolt-on mods adds the most power for an EJ? Realistically, probably a downpipe. Injectors. Intake isn't really going to do much. Intercooler isn't really going to do much unless you actually start like making power. Your biggest bang for the buck is going to be a downpipe, 100%. Do you know a lot about Evos? I know a little bit about Evos, just because I was trying to buy an Evo like 3 weeks ago and I couldn't buy one, so I did a lot of research into Evos. So I have some knowledge on Evos. I got some, specifically 8 and 9s because that's all I was looking into. I was only looking into the 4G63 and not so much the 4B11, but I know a little bit. If I owned a V8, which one would I go for? 100% a CTS-V wagon. What are those, the LSX? I believe it's the LSX. 100% the CTS-V wagon. I've always wanted one. They're incredibly expensive. Maybe one day. Prop hunt is fun as heck. I haven't played Call of Duty in weeks. I didn't even know they added prop hunt. I DM'd you on Instagram. Like you said, it's under Suba Cruise, but I gotta head to work, so thanks for the content. I will check it out, Antonio. Appreciate you swinging by, my dude. Is there an O2 sensor simulator that works on a 16 STI? What are you trying to simulate with your O2 sensor? What are you trying to simulate with that? Is there an O2 sensor simulator? Are you just trying to you could send? I don't know what you're trying to simulate. If it was my daily, I'd go for safe, fun, level powers, especially if I had another car that was going to be 1,000 wheel horsepower. So I'm saying like 350, 40 wheel horsepower. It's totally dailyable. It's totally safe. We shouldn't have any issues with it. 400's the goal. 350 is like minimum goal. Haze Media. My access port is throwing a negative 2.8 fine knock learned, but every time I go watt and only at watt, but does not follow with feedback knock. Should I be worried? I would not be worried about negative 2.8. You will see negative 2.8 all of the time. It's a totally normal value to see. Eric, what's going on, dude? Good evening. Tanner, what did I miss? I hope all is well. I just woke up, been dealing with some health issues, down to 111.1 pounds. Woo! Sigh. Well, hope you feel better, dude. No, we're just kicking it, talking, answering questions, talked about the blah blah a little bit, hanging out, we're kicking it. We are kicking it. I just stream jumped again. There we go. Make the blah by a track weapon and take it to the ridge. I would love to. That sounds expensive. We still have to do suspension in that car and brakes. I got brake pads for it, so woo! Another part that we don't have to order or get. We still need brake rotors for that thing, but I'm gonna use my go-to, the Stop Techs. Can't go wrong with Stop Tech. Although the brake pads are Hawk, we'll use Stop Tech rotors. It's whatever. Days, holidays. That's what I'm saying. Happy holidays. Smash that like button, everyone. Woo! That's what I'm talking about, Eric. Is there actually a difference between the Type RA block and the regular STI block? There's some differences in the piston. The piston was revised from what I could see and what I've been able to find. The rods are the same. The casting's the same. I'm pretty sure it's just the piston that's been redesigned. That's all I know of. Doesn't the RA block have a cross-drilled crank? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same as an STI nitrated crank. Tanner, what is under your hat? A little bit of hair. Some hair. You know, there's some. It's chilling. It's kicking it. Kicking it! Finally got my first 2020 STI. I was wondering what the biggest tires without bending fenders for it. Been following you, keep the good work. So what, the 2020 STI has 20-inch tire or 20-inch wheels on it. As for tires, biggest tires you could go, I'd probably do like a 255 35, or if you want more sidewall, you could do like a 255 40. That's probably about the biggest you're gonna be able to go without having to roll fenders, and actually still have somewhat like decent looking fitment, because I'd be more worried about the tire hitting the inside of the dealio if you start going too big on tires. Mark, what's going on? Can you help me? I have stripped my Gretty oil drain plug. Oh no. I threw back the OEM. Okay, no, so it's not like stuck in there. The OEM plug, but still threading, but oil is kind of leaking minor. What do you recommend me do? Upgrade the oil pan 2019 WRX. I don't think they have upgradable oil pans for the 2019 WRX. If you want, what I would do if it was me is I would take the oil plug out, let all the oil drain out, get a tap, clean up the threads with a tap. Just run through there, clean them up with a tap. Get a new crush washer, get a brand new oil drain bolt, put it all up in there, torque it down, seal it up nice, see if it still leaks. If it still leaks, at that point I would just find a replacement OEM pan, because I don't think anyone actually makes secondary oil pans for the FA20 WRX. That sucks. Sorry to hear, dude. When do you recommend building my EJ in terms of horsepowers? Well, what year car do you have, Alex? Because that is also a defining factor. If it's a stock popsicle stick EJ like my old one was, I would say, I don't know, 400 is at the point where I'd start building it. If it's a Type RA one or newer 2019 Plus STI, I would say you're probably good up to like 450, 500 without having to worry too much. At that point, start building it. Yo, Fox, what's going on, dude? You sell your WRX yet? Will I lose my warranty installing a downpipe? I have an extended warranty. Yes, you will, depending on who your warranty's through. If you guys ever have any like special warranty questions, if it's a third-party warranty agency, especially like that, it's best to ask them, because I'm not the warranty agency. I don't want to tell you, yes, you can totally do that. It's not going to void your warranty, or it is going to void your warranty, when in all actuality it might or it might not with that company. So if you guys ever do have any questions regarding like specific warranty stuff, you guys are totally open to, like, they're totally down to have you guys contact them also. I've contacted warranty claim centers before. Just ask them questions. Always email them though. Get it in writing so that way they can't come back at you if you do put something on the car that they approved and be like, no, we're not going to void it because you installed this part. Well, then you can pull out the email, just be like, hey, you guys said I was totally fine to install this, so at this point you legally have to follow your word. Would you do the FP Blue on your stock block? I did that last time. Yeah, it was an awesome turbo for stock block. 2017 WX Limited. I'm starting to get a little wear in the OEM headlight. Should I just heat it up and replace the seal goop? Or is there a little different? I would just heat it up, open it up. 2017, those ones are stupid easy to open up. It's not necessarily Budol retro rubber like you'd get in other headlights. It's a little bit more of like a rubbery compound. I would just open them up, get like a box of like Morimoto retro rubber, Dial Dynamics retro rubber, just replace the seal, stick it back together, send it. Also, did you use a new crush washer on the oil? That was for that one up there. Why is the STI reverse gear clutch so short? I'm having difficulty reversing into stalls without stalling. I mean, it shouldn't be noticeably shorter. It should feel like any other gear does whenever you're coming off the clutch. That might be clutch wear at that point. If it's like noticeably different only in reverse, that would make me think there's something like going on with your transmission, because it shouldn't be noticeably different than any other gear in that car. Like all of my past STIs, I have never had an instance where reverse is like significantly like shorter in clutch travel versus any other gear. So I mean, at that point, I would either think that like something might be up with your clutch, your flywheel, your throwout bearing, or maybe the transmission is just having a difficult time fully setting into reverse. Make sure you're pulling the reverse lockout up all the way also. There's GoPros with chest straps. I know I have that. I have the chest strap somewhere around here. I also have this floaty. We could totally put my GoPro in the oil pan and just let it float around as we drive. That could be an interesting video, right? That could totally be a good video. Can y'all stop commenting the same thing 10 times? Just let the man read through the comments. That's what I'm saying. I go through every comment. You guys don't need to post the same comment like 10 times. I promise you guys, I will get to it. I don't want to go full dirt fish. What should I look for lift and suspension. Depending on what you have, you can get like Forester suspension, you can get cross-track suspension. That should give you a small lift if you're looking to like really go off-roading. They make full like lift kits for the cars where you actually have body spacers to actually lift up off the subframe a little bit, which is what you're going to be needing. I would look into those if that is what you're looking for. If you're just looking for a little bump, check out like some Forester or some like cross-track springs and struts at that point. I went to a bandage night and saw a similar GoPro mouthpiece. That's what I'm saying. We could just float around our GoPros. Question: Are what is that? Cicane head units a worthwhile interior? I've never heard of them, so I don't know. I've never even heard of that brand. Do you think 350 wheel horsepower is fine on a 2012 WRX that's not built? Yes, but your transmission is probably going to be your breaking point before the motor is. Your thoughts on using Subaru versions of the FA24 will be... Your thoughts on Subaru using versions of the FA24 and the WRX STI VRZ Ascent and Outback seems it could cut production costs a good thing. I think it's a little bit lazy on Subaru's end to be using the exact same motor in every single car, but I mean, at the same time, I can't say it's not something Subaru hasn't done in the past. If you look at 2002 through like 2007, they were doing the same thing with WRX's STIs, Foresters, Crosstracks, that wasn't even a thing back then, Outbacks. It was either all EJ20s, EJ25s, that was pretty much it, so I can't really say anything negative about the FA24 in that aspect. I do think the FA24 is going to have some issues in the first couple of years of production, at least the first year in its own, where they're going to have recalls, TSBs of things, just because they never get all of the production things knocked out in testing. There's always going to be issues that come up in consumer testing within that first 12-month time frame. So if you are looking for one, I mean, I think that it's going to be a very good motor. I think the FA24 is going to be incredibly efficient. I think it's going to have the capability to make a lot of power a lot easier. I mean, I do think it's a good thing, but at the same time, I do think it's a little bit lazy also on Subaru's end, but it should be a solid motor once all of the kinks are worked out of it. I'll see what I can do with getting Option Lab to respond. LOL, I gotta go to work. Always appreciate it, Roy. What brake pads do you recommend for my 17 STI? Kills me with the brake dust. I mean, they're all gonna be pretty dusty pads. I'm testing out these Hawk 5.0s on the Blob-Eye. Once we get that up and running, I have the pad sitting out in the garage. Something with minimal pad dust is going to be like some of the like comfort street level Stop Tech pads aren't awful with pad dust. I would check those ones out, but anything that's going to be more track related is definitely going to have a lot more dust than anything that like street related will. It all comes down to the compound of the brake pad. Mben. Okay, that was not to me. 14 WRX installed a cob, pitch stop mount, firewall flex more. Well, what else can I install to reduce it? Strengthen the welds. Unfortunately, the GRs do suffer from the weak firewall welds. You could get a master cylinder brace. That'll probably help it a little bit, just to put a little bit more pressure back up on that master cylinder to keep the firewall from flexing as much. But unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do unless you go in there and you start re-welding the OEM welds. Just because those OEM ones do like to crack. I believe they have a TSB on it. I don't know if they're still honoring that TSB though. When do you recommend I build my engine? I have a 2017 STI. I'm a little worried about the limits. By the way, Merry Christmas. Hey, Merry Christmas to you too, dude. Personally, I mean, I was fine pushing 401 wheel horsepower on my 2017 STI on the stock long block. I had no issues at all with that motor. It all comes down to how you drive, what your reliability mods are, the conditions and the overall health of the motor. To be honest, if you're trying to make anything over 400 wheel horsepower, I would definitely consider building the block at that point. If you're looking for 400 horsepower and below, you should be fine as long as you're not just beating the hell out of the car every single day. What do you recommend? That's the one I just read. Bummer. Aftermarket oil pans don't seem necessary unless you're rally racing and stuff. There we go. Do you think 350 wheel horsepower is fine on a 2012 WRX that's not built? Yeah, I answered that one. We talked about that. When is your lady gonna get a manual hatchback to join the fam for real? Probably in a couple months. We'll probably do it in like April is when we'll start looking for a WRX hatchback for her. She's been wanting a WRX hatchback that is a manual, so we were talking about it, so we're looking at like March, April of getting her WRX hatched. Once we get like these two cars sorted out first, just so we don't have 3 different projects all going on at the same time. I'm looking to get one too, and they look nicely made. So I'm saying, bro, what do you think of the Evo 9s? I feel like Evo 9s are easier to work on. So from what I learned about Evos, because I'm actually excited to answer this question because I spent a ton of time looking at 4G63 stuff. The Evo 9s are they were only manufactured in 2006. The Evo 9s are the only ones with MyVec, which is like their dual valve timing adjustment series. From what I could find, the 4G63s without MyVec are a lot easier to work on and modify just because they have a little bit more aftermarket standing than the ones with MyVec, just because the MyVec models were only made with 1 year. So if you are looking to get one, the Evo 8s might be a little more mod friendly if you've never owned an Evo before. Like I said, I was looking into these for like 3 to 4 weeks. A little bit excited to answer this question just because I get to use like this knowledge that I learned. But I mean, the whole thing, when I was looking at Evos, I was watching a lot of videos on it, and what they were telling me is don't get hung up on it. If it's your very first Evo, don't get hung up on if it's a 9 or if it's an 8. But I am going to say good luck trying to buy one right now because the market for those things is so inflated that it's like damn near impossible to find one for like what they're actually valued at. Don't you ever cheat on us again. O'Reilly's over everybody. I actually didn't even end up going to AutoZone. I did go to Harbor Freight. The O'Reilly's over here just kind of sucks. I'm gonna be honest. The O'Reilly's over here just is not the best. They don't stock anything. They never stock anything I need. Build a WRX for torque and get a tow hitch and a flatbed. That's always an option as well. How much did Outfront charge you for the rods and pistons? Been looking for some to build my 70K EG. I'll show you guys, actually. We'll look at the build list for the EG, and I'll show you guys because it's a little interesting. I don't think I have actually showed you guys the build list for the EG33 yet, so let me get the build sheet pulled up for it right now. Menu, activity. I don't remember how much I paid for rods and pistons, to be honest. Out front. Search. Is this it? Is this... Can I view this? How do I view invoice details? Okay, here we go. All right. Whoop. Oh, I totally am moving things on that. All right, so let's see. How much are the rods and pistons for the EG33? Closed decking of the case halves was $1,000. Custom piston set, target 9.2 to 1 compression ratio. The pistons were $1,100. They're just Manly H tough rods for the EG33. Those came out to $690 because I need 6 of them. So there you go. Just for rods and pistons, it was about $1,560. So there you go. If you guys are curious on the total amount of the EG33, it was $9,040. It was not a cheap motor to build, I will tell you that right now. But this is the actual build list for the EG33. It should be a power-hungry motor when it's done. But hey, that's a good question. I don't think I've actually showed anyone the actual build list for this. I don't think this is the most updated one. Is it? Where is... Oh, yeah, it is right there. Stage 1 porting for heads includes bull blend. Yeah, so this is the most updated build sheet for the EG33. Very expensive motor to build for 1,200 horsepower. Let me tell you that right now. But there you go. Custom piston set because no one makes pistons for that thing. To build my 70K EG, but shops and PA are hit and miss with the EGs. Well, there you go. I hope that helps. I spent about $1,500 on rods and pistons alone. With the BRZ, did you need to... With the BRZ, did you have to secure all your vacuum lines once you turboed it? Yes, I did. I used a lot of zip ties. A lot of zip ties. When do you recommend I build my engine? We talked about that one. Evening Sir 14 base WRX, 75K miles, daily driver bone stock. Looking to make it reliable, possibly bigger, safe power. Suggestions for 14 WRX are probably going to be maxing out around 350 wheel horsepower. Turbo is going to be needed. You're going to be needed injector, turbo, injectors, fuel lines, fuel rails, header, up pipe, down pipe, intake, access port, three port boost controller, turbo inlet. Should get you pretty close. I answered that one. Tanner, my boy, what's going on? Tiki Ghost, happy holidays, bruh. What's going on, dude? I feel we are intertwined with our 05s. Always a new challenge whenever brought up. That's what I'm saying, man. That thing has been a heap of like surprises and challenges. It's been fun. My son just imported a 1994 S14. I am jealous. From Japan and ordered a whole set of Cosmos Racing MR7 from Fitment Industries. Yes, 20 emails plus to get sizes correct, but worth it. Turned out crispy. I'm so jealous. I want an S14 or an S13 so bad. Having one with an SR20 would be a lot better also. The KAs are awesome engine, but an SR20 I would love one. I have a 2020 WRX. Looking for a new catback right now, running a nameless catback. Any suggestion? But what's wrong with the nameless? I like nameless. ETS or nameless. That's gonna be my go-tos. I like both of them. They're very awesome. They're all like handmade exhausts also. I've been reading. They're a little bit finicky, but worthwhile once you end up running. I'm thinking of buying an '08 Legacy GT with over 100k miles, which I look out for. Rust up in the rear arches. Try to make sure it's as stock as possible if it's a turbo model. Aside from that, just get maintenance records. Make sure everything is like frame rails are straight. Make sure that's clean titled. Nothing is actually like been demolished in that car. Just make sure it's all solid. I got skipped. What do you mean you got skipped, Fox? Oh my Fox, I'm so sorry, man. Would you be sad if I went the route of a front wheel drive VR6 turbo swap on the Beetle first? 6k versus 30k and some actual content for my channel. Do it, Fox. I want to see the VR6 go in there. That would be nuts. That would still be really cool. I want to see it. If you do it, let me know. I'm definitely down to follow it. VR6 would be fun. See, look, I did not mean to skip your comment. I am sorry, Fox. I do apologize. The new Type R body is supposed to be toned down. Interesting. What's wrong with the nameless? They're pretty. That's what I'm saying. I like nameless. I also wonder if they're still compatible with the OEM SXM antenna. I do not know. I do not know. How long have we been going? Almost an hour and a half now. I'm starting to lose my voice. All right. That's where I'm ending it tonight. I'm starting to lose my voice. I need to go take a break, make some dinner. I have some parts to order for the 05 STI. So, always appreciate you guys swinging by the live streams. I appreciate all the donuts tonight, too. You guys are absolutely awesome. I'm going to be doing another live stream on Wednesday night for you guys. So, you guys are getting 3 live streams this week. I will be doing a Christmas live stream on Christmas. If you guys want to tune into that one, you are more than welcome to. But I hope everyone has a killer rest of their week. A chill evening, and I will catch you guys later. I'll catch you guys in the next one. I don't know if you know the stuff. I'll catch you guys in the next one.